So, let's start. Okay, so Steve suggested that I should talk about quantum mechanics, but too hard. It's far too hard. And it's a very long time since I've been doing any serious quantum mechanics as well. So I chose the easy way out, and sadly as a result of that I'll probably be saying a lot of things that you already know. But feel free to interrupt me at any time if there are more interesting things you would like to know more about. So
can you speak up a little, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
So, but I thought I should just go through the basic story about our universe. And this is a picture many of you would have seen already. It's a publicity picture from the WMAP team, the people behind the Wilkinson microwave anisotropy probe, the satellite you can see a picture of here, which measures the temperature variations of the cosmic microwave background. Now that I'm going to be talking more about that later, but for now I just want to use this figure to give you a rough overview of what we know about the history of the universe. Now, the first thing I would like to point out is that we actually know that the universe has a history. I mean, that's something which...
Sorry, that's my iPhone.
That's church bells.
I don't know. Anna said all the rooms on. It'll stop. Sorry. Go.
The fact that the universe hasn't always...
There's Anna. Are you calling me? Oh, answer it. It's in there. Take it out. Thank you. Silence it, please. It's in the zipper.
So the fact that the universe hasn't always looked the way it looks today and been in the same physical state as it is today is a fairly modern discovery. And for instance, when Albert Einstein came up with the general theory of relativity, then most people thought that the universe, at least on average, had always looked more or less like it looks to us today. So the fact that the universe has evolved, in a sense, not through natural selection, but things have happened, is a recent discovery. And another amazing thing is that we've actually been able to learn so much about the history of the universe. Today we have more or less a good picture of how the most important features we can observe of the universe in the universe today came to be the way they are. Like there are minor details which I may come back to, like dark matter and dark energy, which make up most of the matter and energy in the universe, but in some sense they are details. I mean, they have absolutely no influence, probably at least, on what went on in the early universe. And for understanding the rough picture of how we have the structures we see in the universe, they're not, dark matter plays an important role, probably, but I mean, they're not crucial to understanding how we can have such things as galaxies and stars and planets. So I'll be trying to sketch out how what the sort of standard model for the history of the universe is, and why we think it is a good model. Yep, so this is the matter-energy budget of our universe. See, it's dominated by two dark components, dark energy and dark matter. I won't be talking too much about those. but I'll mention or try to explain, at least in the case of dark matter, the evidence we have that indicates that there is such a thing as dark matter up there. Okay, so what we can call modern cosmology is a fairly new part of science. It really started with Einstein's general theory of relativity. And the general theory of relativity is not only a more accurate description of how gravity works. The amazing thing, at least to me, about general relativity is that it's actually an explanation of what gravity is. Newton had no idea why we had gravity. He could come up with a description of how it works, and which was amazingly good for most applications. But he didn't know where gravity came from. Whereas with the general theory of relativity, we know what gravity is. And it's not really force at all in some sense. It's just the geometry. The space and time, since we use those concepts in physics as things we measure on rods and clocks, can be described geometrically as sort of a four-dimensional construction called space-time, and that construction can have curvature. And then if it has curvature, we will observe effects that look like gravitational effects. And the curvature is determined by mass, energy, and pressure. So it's not only a better description of how gravity works, it's an explanation of what it is. And with this theory, it became for the first time possible to formulate models for the history of space-time as a whole, for the entire history of the universe. And Einstein himself was the first to try to come up with such a model. And as I already mentioned, back in 1916 when he did this, most people believed that the universe was in some sense static. So on average, it looked more or less the same today as it had always been. Another thing, which seems amazing to us, but at that time they didn't know that there were other galaxies besides the Milky Way. And it wasn't until the 1920s that we were able for the first time to measure the distance to an object which was actually too far away to be a part of the Milky Way, and hence discovered that there are things outside the Milky Way. So to Einstein, the Milky Way was the whole universe. But he came up with a model which nevertheless had many of the same features as the models of the universe we consider today. Because he just made a very simple model where he looked at stars in the Milky Way as just a uniform gas, and the stars were moving at very slow speeds, so it was a non-relativistic gas with no pressure. And he tried to build a static model out of that. But not surprisingly, since gravity, at least normally, is an attractive force, he couldn't make a stable model out of this. Found that it either had to contract or it had to expand. So since he was firmly convinced, and he had no reason to believe anything else either, that the universe was static, he decided to introduce a fix in his equation. So he introduced what we know today as the cosmological constant. To Einstein and to people at that time, this was sort of thought of as an inner tendency for empty space to expand. Today we look at it as the energy of empty space, the energy density of empty space. But we can look at it either way. It's the thing now is that we sort of have an understanding of why there should be such cosmological constant. To Einstein, this was just something he introduced to make his theory work. He got a slight digression, but in fact